Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into the sensational first episode of A Shop for Killers, Season 2. The first season ended on an absolute edge-of-your-seat cliffhanger, leaving fans worldwide desperate for answers. How did Jin-man survive? What was the true scale of his master plan against Babylon? In this extended breakdown, we cover every single combat scene, tactical heist detail, and dramatic beat from Episode 1. The story picks up right after the chaotic events at the shopping mall base. Ji-yeon barely survived the waves of elite assassins hunting her down, relying on her brutal martial arts training and the lethal traps built by her uncle. But just as she believed her uncle, Jin-man, was dead and gone, a massive shockwave hit. The corpse Ji-yeon had previously identified in the morgue was a complete fake. It was a meticulously engineered decoy, a synthetic body designed down to the smallest anatomical detail to fool the surveillance network of Babylon, the shadowy global mercenary organization. On the very night this trickery was set in motion, Jin-man convened an emergency meeting at an undisclosed subterranean base. Gathered in the dimly lit room were his most trusted inner circle, Jin-woo, the undercover officer who pretended to escort Ji-yeon to the morgue, Pa-sin, Ji-yeon's lethal Muay Thai master, Chung, the seasoned warrior who lost an arm saving Ji-yeon 10 years ago, and Cho-sung, the team's brilliant cyber expert. Jin-man addressed his comrades with a cold, calculated tone. Babylon had fallen directly into their snare. However, their window of opportunity was terrifyingly brief. They had exactly 62 hours before Babylon detected the anomaly and locked down all external operations. Babylon's primary East Asian headquarters operated behind a bizarre front. It was disguised on the surface as an ordinary rustic rice mill. But this simple facade was surrounded by a 1-kilometer open perimeter of barren terrain where any unauthorized movement would be spotted instantly. Deep beneath lay a subterranean fortress guarded 24/7 by 96 elite heavily armored mercenary gunners, automated tracking turrets, and heavy anti-aircraft defense systems. When Jin-man's team deployed a high-speed stealth reconnaissance drone to map the perimeter, Babylon's defense grid detected it in seconds and obliterated it in mid-air. Direct assault meant absolute suicide. However, Jin-man revealed that his objective was not to breach the fortress to fight Bale. Killing Bale in his own lair was statistically impossible. Instead, their real target was Babylon's central mainframe server. This server stored every piece of black market intelligence accumulated over decades, including global political assassinations, covert espionage missions, illegal arms trades with North Korea, and orchestrated military coups across war-torn nations. It even held video proof of Bale slaughtering hundreds of unarmed civilians. Jin-man's grand strategy was clear. If they could steal this server, they would hold total leverage over Babylon's high command, forcing a binding truce that would permanently grant Ji-yeon a normal life. The server was completely isolated underwater to prevent remote hacking. However, Jin-man discovered a critical flaw. Every afternoon at exactly 3 p.m., the server frame was lifted above the water for a 20-minute manual diagnostic check. That 20-minute window was their only chance to physically extract the data. Since smuggling high-grade weaponry through Babylon's outer X-ray scanners was impossible, Jin-man's team had to infiltrate the base empty-handed and steal heavy explosives directly from Babylon's internal armory. To breach security, Cho-sung first targeted Security Chief Kim by bombarding his phone with pop-up ads for luxury massage services and stock tips. When Kim clicked a link, Cho-sung cloned his top-tier access card. Next, the team disguised a commercial waste truck as Babylon's contracted cleaning service, lining the interior of the trash containers with radar-absorbent stealth film to bypass high-frequency X-ray scanners. Finally, Cho-sung printed a hyper-realistic 3D mask of Bale's face for Jin-man, who wore dark, tactical sunglasses to conceal the disfigured left eye. While Ji-yeon was guided to identify the fake body, keeping Babylon's intelligence assets distracted, Jin-man's team drove the disguised waste truck into Babylon's subterranean loading dock. At the final gate, a suspicious guard halted the truck and demanded to inspect the rear. Thinking fast, Jinwoo released a valve of noxious medical waste odor, forcing the disgusted guards to wave them through. Once inside, the team spotted elite mercenaries assembling under Chief Kim's orders to hunt Jian. Jin-man immediately altered the plan, ordering Jinwoo and Pasan to fall back so Pasan could rush to Jian's location, while Jin-man and Cho-sung completed the heist alone. Cho-sung slipped into the ventilation shafts, spliced into the network, blacked out CCTVs, and tracked Bale's real-time location. Wearing the Bale mask, Jin-man walked into the primary weapons vault under the pretense of returning a sidearm. The moment the vault door sealed, he knocked out the custodian, grabbed his keycard, and began packing heavy bunker-buster demolition explosives. Suddenly, loud klaxons echoed through the vault. Two automated, heavy-armored combat robots rolled in, scanned Jin-man, and flagged him as an imposter, opening fire with machine guns. At that exact moment, the clock struck 3 p.m. The central server began rising out of the water. As Cho-sung frantically warned him about the 20-minute countdown, Jin-man engaged in a life-or-death brawl. Disarmed by heavy gunfire, Jin-man ripped a heavy steel blast door off its hinges, using it as an improvised shield to crush the first robot's sensors. He then blasted the second robot's joint hydraulics with a fallen shotgun before disarming 2 human guards who rushed in. Time was running out as the diagnostic cycle finished early, and the server began descending back underwater. Seeing Jin-man delayed, Cho-sung dropped out of the air vent, neutralized a control operator, and slammed the emergency manual override lever, freezing the server frame just inches above the waterline. With the server secured and packed with explosives, Jin-man retrieved a shoulder-mounted grenade launcher from the armory. He marched toward the central command hallway and fired a grenade point-blank into the reinforced blast wall, blowing a gaping hole into Bale's private quarters. Jin-man stepped through the smoke, ripped off his synthetic Bale mask, and tossed it to the floor. Bale stood up with a twisted smirk, and without speaking a word, Jin-man opened fire. Bale lunged behind a concrete pillar as bullets tore through the room. When a squad of reinforcements arrived, Jin-man deployed an experimental high-tech shield and tossed a high-frequency sonic grenade, dropping the guards in agonizing pain. With the guards down, Jin-man and Bale engaged in a vicious close-quarters hand-to-hand fight. Trading over 300 rapid exchanges of knuckle strikes and joint locks, Jin-man gained the upper hand, locking Bale in an armbar and driving a blade into his side. Bleeding heavily, Bale glared at Jin-man and sneered, "Do you really think this ends here, Jin-man? We will meet again in hell," before releasing his grip and falling backward into a dark elevator shaft. Heavy incoming gunfire forced Jin-man to retreat before verifying the body. Chung detonated the bunker buster charges along the structural pillars, tearing a vertical escape route straight from the basement to the roof. Jin-man sprinted up the stairwell to the rooftop helipad, but as he burst through the doors, he was surrounded by Director Lee, dozens of mercenaries, and 2 heavy combat droids. Lee laughed, believing he had Jin-man trapped, but before his men could fire, a high-caliber machine gun roared from the sky. Jinwoo and Cho-sung descended in a hijacked Babylon attack helicopter, shredding the droids and scattering the mercenaries. Jin-man sprinted toward the helicopter, leaping for the landing gear just as a bullet struck his side. Chung pulled the wounded Jin-man into the cabin as the helicopter vanished into the stormy night sky, leaving Lee screaming in rage. Hours later, back at the shopping mall property, Jian had just finished defeating the mercenary hit squad sent to her house. Exhausted and covered in bruises, she stood in the rain as a yellow taxi pulled up. The door opened, and a heavily bandaged, bleeding Jin-man stepped out. Jian froze in utter disbelief. Overwhelmed by rage, shock, and immense relief, she stomped over and punched him repeatedly in the chest, screaming at him for making her believe he was dead. Jin-man accepted every strike silently before pulling his tearful niece into a tight, protective embrace. Meanwhile, in a high-rise building in Tokyo, a mysterious Japanese woman opened a confidential intelligence dossier, scrolling down to see Jong Jin-man's photo and active status, her eyes widening in absolute shock. And that brings us to the end of this thrilling first episode. Jin-man successfully pulled off the impossible heist, capturing Babylon's darkest secrets and reuniting with Jian. But with Bale's survival unconfirmed and global intelligence agencies waking up to Jin-man's resurgence, the war is only just beginning. What did you think of Jin-man's insane heist strategy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the Episode 2 breakdown.